We have to learn to just be patient within just our day-to-day lives. We often put some sort of expectation for things to go a certain way, or for us to achieve certain things at this certain rate, when it's going to be achieved when it's supposed to be achieved. It's like with this expectation that we place on not only ourselves, but things in life. When we don't meet our own expectations, or when the world doesn't meet our own expectations, we feel like either we're never going to be able to achieve what we want to achieve, or we're out of alignment. And I mean, in a sense, we kind of are when we put these expectations. Because I feel like these expectations can force us to try to force things. And it's like we just have to learn to be patient with where we are and who we are. And it's like in regards to my own journey so far, I feel like I've had to learn to be more patient within my own change, breaking old habits such as lust, in my process and trying to overcome that. And I've heard from many other people who have struggled with lust, and they're like, it's a lifelong battle because temptations will always be there. You know, we're human, and it's always gonna be there. And so it's like, there'll be times where I feel like I fell back into temptation. But then it's like, I've just been learning that, okay, I have to see this moment right here where I relapsed, take it as a lesson, and to not define it to my character, and just to see it as a part of the process, to not be so hard on myself. I've been struggling with this sexual addiction since I was a kid, honestly, and it's like, I shouldn't even expect myself to get it right in one day. It's a process. You know, if I relapse, see it as a lapse in error and move on. Because by staying stuck on it, by expecting myself to be over this now, I'm not supposed to be going back into these habits, which, you know, I expect myself not to. But when I do, to be patient. I have to be patient with myself. And this is not to say that I can just BS and just do it whenever I please. But it's like, the process takes time. And as long as I'm trying, which I am, I will overcome what I'm struggling with. Another example of mine has been recently, where I felt like for a second I was losing parts of who I am. But I think that's for the sole fact is that I try to force things. And this is in regards to social media. Not to say I tried to force persona or anything like that. I didn't try to do that. But in terms of my messaging, instead of it being rooted from God, I try to force the message. And of course, yeah, it seems like I was doing good in the world, but like I was out of alignment. All the messages that I speak are rooted from God. If I'm supposed to speak them, I speak them. But if they're not, they're not. And it's like, I felt like I was doing that in a sense. Like, especially in terms of my content, like I was just putting out content at a rapid pace, you know? And yes, it was part of me trying to be consistent, but then it's like I felt like I fell into a kind of trap where in a sense I kind of tied my worth to the following I built up, you know? And in the past recently that has died down, you know? I started to lose some of my audience. And so I think that's what made me feel implicated to want to put more and more content out. Because I was thinking, oh, something's missing from my message, But that really wasn't the case. I was just out of alignment. I was just forcing it, you know? It was supposed to flow. You know, it's like there'd be times, as of recent, where it's like I'm trying to make a new piece of content and I don't know what to say. But it was me forcing it, not being patient and allowing the message to come. And this may not be as strong as an example, but I see patience within this situation as well. I see patience within anything. It should be something that we carry with us within anything that we do. Because I feel like without patience, we force things that don't need to be forced. We start to maybe even tear down ourselves or even our lives in certain areas that we are wanting to be a certain way, but they're not. And so when they're not a certain way, we start to tear ourselves down and start to make everything a negative thing where I feel like it doesn't have to be a negative thing. I feel like patience to me is just, especially within trials and tribulation, in a sense withstanding the storm. And this is something I've talked about earlier in some of my past videos, but it's like, for me, I'm being patient with myself, within me changing. There are things that I have inhabited over time, since my childhood. Some good, some bad, right? And so the things that I am unlearning, I have to learn to be patient with that and not be just so stringent, not be so just hard on myself. Because yes, I may be repeating old habits, or I'm going back into this again, I'm doing this again. Or, oh, my life just isn't going how I wanted it to go. Regardless of what it is, you have to carry patience with you wherever you go. That's the one thing I kind of discovered going into self-improvement and taking this journey seriously. It's not an overnight thing, and I feel like we all understand that. We all know that. But then it's like we don't take that understanding within those moments where we feel not as assured, not as confident, where we feel anxious and scared or overwhelmed. We don't carry that knowledge, that knowing within these different headspaces that we have. And it's like we have to, just to keep our own sanity in a sense. It's like I'm going to bump my head. You are going to bump your head. And that is okay. Of course, be conscious enough to not bump your head hard enough to where you knock yourself out. But it's like, in regards to yourself, in regards to anything externally, it takes time. And it's like, I say the saying a lot of just riding the wave. Just being present. Give your presence to the moment, whatever moment you're in. Be reassuring to yourself and be like, okay, I know I may not be where I want to be right now, or my life may not be where I want it to be right now, but it will be. I just have to trust the process. I just have to be reassuring to myself, like, okay, you're doing a good job. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You may not be seeing the change you want to see as it, or the fruits of your labor, but you will. With time, with trusting yourself, with trusting God, just within trusting it all. The things that you want and desire, you will achieve those things. You will become the thing you want to become. You will overcome the things you want to overcome just by being patient. Someone who is impatient has already lost. And in a sense, is dictated by the world within its outcome. And when I say this, I mean, if you're impatient, put an expectation on something to go your way, or you put an expectation on yourself. Whatever it is, since you tied so much value within that thing to bring you a sense of security, you're not going to be able to be sane. The ride is going to feel a little rocky in regards to if you were patient and yes, things didn't go your way. You're going to be like, okay. And it's like with you constantly reaffirming yourself and reassuring yourself of everything's going to be okay, that things will get better. Your mindset shifts. The boat isn't as rocky. You're able to ride the wave. You're able to adapt. We have to be in the present. We have to be here. And everything else will flow. It won't have to be forced. It won't have to be overthought about. It will all flow. Yes, give your energy and attention to make the shifts that you want to make in your life. But then through all the trials and tribulations that you will go through, to enjoy the journey of your own self-discovery, enjoy the journey of trying to achieve great things in life, be patient with it. And everything that you desire will transpire with time, especially within the attention that you give it to. So y'all got this. Breathe and trust that things will transpire. Trust that you will evolve into who you want to become. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm beyond thankful and grateful for each and every single one of y'all. Stay blessed, stay easy, and smile today. All right. Peace.